Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
In 2001, national-level NASCAR racing returned to Nashville when the 1.333-mile Nashville Super Speedway opened and played host to the Xfinity and Craftsman Truck Series for the first time. Over its first decade, the track became a staple of the schedule for both series, expanding each to 2 events while also adding IndyCar racing for the first 8 years of its existence. However, without a NASCAR Cup Series date on its calendar, 2011 proved to be the track's final season, and it would shut down after choosing not to seek NASCAR sanction for 2012. How times have changed. In June of 2020, NASCAR awarded Nashville Super Speedway a Cup Series date, effectively bringing back the track to life. For the first time, it hosted all 3 National NASCAR Series in June of 2021. Tonight, it's race 14 of the Vigilante Racing League Broken Strings 150, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. Race details tonight, 133 laps the distance, 78-degree ambient temperature, 47% humidity, cloudy skies, 3-mile-per-hour breeze, track temp 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers on a 65% fuel load tonight should give them between 35 and 38 laps. Tire sets over the wall, give them 4. That's what we're rolling with here tonight. No fast repairs, 1 green-white checkered attempt if necessary. Interesting fun fact is we've got Chris Goins up here in the broadcast booth, fresh off last night's race. Strong run with some strategy that just didn't pan out, but talking about the numbers, race distance 133 laps here tonight, Chris, 177 miles. I don't know where they're getting the 150 from, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I like round numbers, so round down on that.
With all that said, of course, for those that didn't get to watch last night's race, we ended up in a tire strategy that you tried to work out last evening. Walk us through your plans for that last night and what ended up being the case. How did it work out?
Yeah, well, we put it on pole there last night, which is a rarity for me. I don't have one lap speed typically, but knew it was going to be a tire event. We did have enough tires to take for every pit stop, but the way the cautions kind of fell, we took fuel only for the first stop, and just kind of stretching it out a little bit there, and got a caution with, I don't know, it was like 37 or so to go, and we came down, and I knew we could make it on fuel, but I was going to try and save that one last set of tires there at the end, and hope for a caution about, in 10, 15 laps after that. Well, we got one with about 5 laps after. So I didn't decide to take them at that point and regretted that decision because we stayed green the rest of the way and fell to 15.
Didn't pan out. We'll see if that ends up being the case for somebody here tonight. Maybe it does work, but we're going to find out. It's time. Qualifying is over. Let's get to our starting grid. Let's take a look at it. On the pole position, with a lap time of 29.797 seconds, it's the 51 of Dylan Bryant. Outside pole, missed it by 70 thousandths, the 47 of John McAdam. Row number 2, it'll be the 99 of Albert Anderson with Andrew Player to his right elbow. Row 3, Dustin Eaton and Mike Adamson. Row 4, it's Larry Dickerson, had a strong run last night finishing P2, and Trevor Robertson in the 8th spot. Row number 5, it'll be Josh Bittner and Jeremiah Burke. Starting 11, Stoney Benfield. 12th goes to Scott Roney. 13th starter, it's Ricky Wittenberg. Andrew Cawthon will start 14th. 15th is the number 3 of Austin Paul. Jack Dixon starts 16th. Chandler Paul will start 17th. Dave Mayberry rolls off in the 18th position. 19th starter, it's the 5 of Anthony Williams. 20th goes the John Osborne. Kyle Vaught will be 21st. Dustin Wade, 22nd. Greg Dobson, 23rd. Jason Gaines, 24th. Tim Pope in the 7 will roll 25th. Alan Vaught, 26th. Keep an eye on the 33. He's going to work his way through tonight. Kelly Kuhl will start in the 27th spot. Russ Kilgore, 28th. Kevin Hunt, 29th and 30th. Last but not least, shotgun on the field, the 123 of John Gallagher will start 30th. That's our starting grid here from Nashville Super Speedway. It looks to be everybody's gridded up and ready to roll here. Again, the race details tonight, 133 laps, roughly 177 miles. 77-degree temperature outside, 49% humidity, cloudy skies, 4-mile-per-hour breeze, track temperature 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 65% fuel load on board, 4 sets of tires over the wall, no fast repairs, and 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish. This is also a playoff race. Let's take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Alan Vaught with 30-30 over Tim Pope in second. Dustin Eaton only a point behind. Trevor Robertson 2 back from there. Derek Welch in 5th with 3,004. Andrew Player 6th. Larry Dickerson 7th. And Kyle Vaught 30 points off the lead there in the 8th position. Those are your championship eligible drivers. Pace truck is in. We're ready to go racing.
Green.
And green flag in the air.
Caution.
And trouble already. Trouble, big time trouble here in the middle of 1 and 2. We got a pile up. Jeremiah Burke, one of the drivers involved. The 48 of Dixon, and it looks like the 29 of Dave Mayberry. I don't believe there's additional trucks involved, but there could be. We'll get a look at it. I think this is starting off just like last night. Did we have a yellow right off the bat too, Chris?
We almost did when I almost stuck it in the inside fence coming off of 2, but I think we had a guy spin off of 2, but it never brought out a caution. I think our first caution was about 10 or 12 laps in.
It's always fun to compare the previous night's race to tonight. It's just in real life, you see the same thing like twin 125s or the duels. Yeah, I'm dating myself here. One race is always, or usually, vastly different than the next, even though some of the participants here are the same racetrack, different, same truck, different time of day. Really the only change here. You kind of think, though, under the lights, you're going to see a little bit more grip out there.
Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed during qualifying. The pole speed last night, I at a 30.051, and these guys are running 29.7s for pole speed here. And it's not, Dylan Bryant, who sat on pole here, was in the race last night. So it's not like there's a difference in drivers either. So I don't know. We'll see what happens tonight.
Getting a look here at what's put us under caution here to start this race. A bit of a checkup there in the middle of 1 and 2. Looks like the 88 in behind Andrew Player there either crosses the nose of Robertson. Robertson checks up and Burke doesn't get the message. They make some contact. Robertson's going to save it here, I think. That's a hell of a drift. He does. Looks like he straightens it out. Dixon's going to come in here and clip Burke, and then Mayberry get a piece of it as well. I want to watch this from the Robertson angle, that is. Bloop. Dirt tracking it through 1 and 2. Scott Roney just barely getting by on the outside. A good save for the 6.
Yeah, and one thing with these trucks, especially here, he's going to want to come in and get that rear damage, the little bit that it caused there. He'll want to get that fixed. He'll want to give up that track position. If I'm him, if I'm the 6, I'm giving up the track position, get that fixed, and play it out for the long run.
Tom in the stream chat says, last night we were 91 or 93 for track temp at green, which doesn't sound like a lot, 10, 15 degrees difference, but that is a massive difference as far as grip levels are concerned. You get into some of these road course races, a degree or 2 can be a 10th or 2 on your flying laps. So a 10, 12, 13 degree difference here, even in these trucks, you're going to see faster times. We certainly saw it in qualifying.
Curious to see with these track temps how much it does damage the tires. I think a lot of the problem here is the heat that gets put in the tire, especially on that right front. I saw it go down. The percentage of the tire went down quite a bit, but the temperature was sky high. So curious to see what that looks like here.
Getting ready for a restart here. It'll be lap 5 when we take the green. A couple of trucks getting caught up to the back half of the field here. They should be there without any problem. Again, just making a note here, track temperature 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we are under the lights here tonight, so I'm not expecting a huge change in that track temp. Typically, that's really only being affected by sunlight. You're going to get some heat off the trucks as well, but not as drastic as direct sun. We'll see if it changes throughout the course of the event. Pace truck is in.
Green flag.
And there it is, green back in the air. Dylan Bryant gets away quick and easy. Albert Anderson now battling with the 47 and John McAdam. They're side by side out of turn number 2. First lap in anger in the books as Dylan Bryant crosses the stripe with the race lead. Then it's Anderson, McAdam, Player, and Eaton, the top 5. Top 5 pretty well single file, but you get to the 88 and the 84 here. Adamson and Bittner, they are side by side. This for the 6th position out of 2. Dustin Eaton trying to get tucked in there in front of somebody. Wasn't able to complete it. Now looks to the inside of Andrew Player. This would be for the 4th position if Dustin can get it done. Checking in on the stream chat, we've already got plenty in there. Albert Anderson, Tim McAdam, Edith Anderson, Verde, let's see, Kathy A, Tom, of course, and then Lori, hey, Steve, Chris, and our VRL friends and family. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Josh Bittner getting a small portion of that safer barrier out of the corner. Keeps his foot in it. Now a battle, Larry Dickerson to the inside of Bittner. Maybe that contact slowed the momentum of the 84 just a touch, or maybe Dickerson trying not to let another one slip through his fingers. Last night, you could tell in the post-race interview, was dejected on that second place finish. He's had a handful of them in the Numb Thumbs Racing League over the season. Hasn't been able to lock it down in victory lane. Hoping to try and do it here tonight.
Definitely got the speed. Running second place to Brian McCann is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, that's hard to beat Brian for sure. I've run with him enough to know that that's not something you can do often.
Now, it's certainly no small feat at all. Brian McCann, one of the dominant drivers over in the Num Tums Racing League, running out there with a 5,000 I rating, and Dickerson was right there with him for quite some time. Even Brian said post-race he was worried about Larry. It seemed that he found some speed late in the race. We'll see if that's in his memory banks or if it's even applicable here under the lights tonight. Tough break for Jack Dixon out of this one early on that first corner crash. The 48, 2 weeks in a row out of it early. Dylan Bryant still out in front now. Dustin Eaton's going to take the fourth spot from Andrew Player, but Player not going away quietly. Right there, Eaton slots in. He was clear, but not by much. Dickerson now to the inside of the 13 as they head down into turns 3 and 4. Dickerson will pick up this spot without much of an argument. So move the 69 up into the 6th position. We got George Rincon in the chat. Happy to see Ricky able to make it into the event tonight. No better medication than being on the track. It is definitely true, even in the sim. Dylan Bryant still out in front, hanging on to a 3/10 plus second advantage over Albert Anderson. McAdam back about a full second off the lead in third. Then Eaton and Adamson the top 5. To watch this battle between Josh Bittner and Andrew Player. Player in the yellow, number 13. Bittner looks like he's picked up that 7th spot. Player going back to the whip. No, he gets to the inside of Bittner now. Exit of turn 4. They're side by side. Just about even nose, but Bittner had a better run out of the corner. He's going to clear possibly. No, looks like Player's going to battle back. Keeps it to the bottom of the 84. Drives it in deep, slides up the track. Might have made a little bit of contact with Bittner. Bittner's not going to take too kindly to that. Meanwhile, Stoney Benfield, who's up a couple of positions, he's put the pressure on the 84 now. He got alongside for a moment. Bittner trying to hang out of that outside lane to continue to have that momentum. It's been a great way to defend. We saw a lot of that last night as well. Carry that momentum out of the corner all the way down the straightaway. It's a great way to kind of prevent that guy, even though he's got the inside lane, the shorter way around. Keep him behind you.
Yeah, and this track is interesting with the outside because you do get that run off the exit, but the middle of the corner, you are just seems like just at a disadvantage for those guys that are running, that are hugging that bottom. So you may get the run off the corner, but you usually a lot of times aren't actually clearing them when you think you would be.
It seemed, Rick, last night specifically, it was most effective if you were up top on the exit at 2. You could really carry the momentum down into 3. Wasn't as effective turn 4 through the tri-oval down into 1. It seemed like that advantage kind of went away.
Yeah, I fought Skylar Herod last night outside, probably 5 or 6 laps and just could not get it clear. And like you said, definitely have it more out of 1 and 2. It seems like it's a little bit sharper radius, a little bit lower speed coming out. So if you can carry more through that corner, turn 3 and 4 is a little bit more, a little bit wider coming out onto that front stretch. So everybody's kind of carrying speed, even whether you're on the top or the bottom there. So you don't notice it's big of a difference.
I would have to imagine a lot of that kind of has to be dictated by driving style as well. And you can see that could be working or not working depending on who's behind the wheel.
For sure. You get guys like me that's just typically aren't comfortable up top. So I'm usually the one that everybody gets mad at for crowding them to the bottom because I want to still try and get as close to the bottom as I can. But, you definitely have different driving styles. For instance, you see guys like Dylan Bryant, and those guys that can run up high and run up high comfortably. They'll get those runs way better than, somebody that drives kind of like me or Derek Welch or something like that hugs the bottom.
Speaking of Derek Welch, I don't think we saw him tonight. I don't believe he's made tonight's race. This is one of the only, if not the only race he has missed in VRL this season. Again, coming in tonight, he was part of that playoff group of drivers that was in contention. Surprised to see him not make it. Maybe work-related, but nonetheless, tough to see DW not here tonight. Yeah,
he had some work stuff come up, so he said earlier he'll be able to make it. So disappointing to see because he's in the playoff, but we'll see. We'll see him out here next week. Maybe he can score a win and move on.
Jeremiah Burke looked like he had a moment there a minute ago. Looks like he drove right through the grass, or at least part of the grass, coming out of turn 4. I hate to do this, but I'm just gonna rewind it so we can catch it. Little bit of a moment. Here it is, just a minute ago. Oh, Burke got the wall. Kyle Vaught looked like he did as well. Burke was able to save it, though. Just the left side through the infield grass. Burke running back in 22nd right now. Wanted to take a look here at the 33 of Alan Vaught. Remember how deep in the field he started? Well, he's made up 11 positions in the first 24 laps, up into the 15th spot. And to no one's surprise, Tim Pope only a few positions behind him. He's working his way through as well. Vaught now working on the tailgate of the 3. That's Austin Paul. Vaught gets clear of the 3 through turns 1 and 2. I want to go back up front here, check out our race leader, Dylan Bryan. He's enjoying just shy of a 7/10 of a second advantage as he gets into 3 and 4 here. It goes up a bit. It was shrunk down to about 2/10 just a handful of laps ago. Albert Anderson really closed the gap on the 51. I don't know if there was a moment by Bryant that caused that gap to shrink as much as it had, or if Dylan was just kind of reserving a little bit of power, maybe saving some tire, until Anderson started to reel him in, because again, he's stretched that lead back out now 0.8 of a second as he works the back straightaway.
Yeah, Steve, watching Albert the last couple of laps, it looks like he's getting a little bit loose off the corner, which could attribute that gap to being grown a little bit there, because as you can see, McAdams kind of closing in. Albert's kind of stretching a little bit right now, but it just looks like he's maybe fighting a loose truck here.
Things relatively stable here at the front of the field. We'll go further back, though. Let's see, Andrew Player Still hot and heavy there with Josh Bittner. Only half a truck really off the tailgate, maybe a truck length through 3 and 4. Not losing ground to Bittner, but Bittner not giving up the space. Further behind them, though, the 55 there, Ricky Wittenberg making a move to the bottom, all the way down to the apron on Stoney Benfield, loses a bunch of momentum in doing so. Opens the door for Dustin Wade and the number 68 truck to close the gap a bit. Loses some ground now. Wittenberg's going to switch lanes, go to the top. Pretty solid race thus far. A little hiccup on lap 1 with our first caution in the first couple of corners, but it's been pretty clean ever since. Trevor Robertson back about 8 spots in top 10 starting position for the 6 here tonight. Slid the tires pretty considerably on that opening lap. You just got to wonder if he really hurt those tires in that slide, that drift that we watched during that first caution. Chris, what do you say on that? Is that something he's got to be concerned with, overheating those tires just in that brief slide? Are they that sensitive?
They can be, yeah, for sure. I think the caution certainly helped him kind of get those cooled back down. I mean, he slid it a little bit, but he didn't. It's not like he went for a full slide sideways or 360 or anything like that. So I think the caution and him coming into pit to fix that damage, I think that probably cooled those down enough. I think he's probably okay. I think he's just being a little patient, trying to get back up through the field, back to where he was.
You don't think he took a set of tires on that stop, do you?
Not unless it was an accident. I mean, I hope not. I mean, just being on that first lap, you certainly don't want to take a set there because, like we talk about all the time, you can't run scuffs. So you don't want to be at that disadvantage this early in the race.
Man, don't I know it? Wouldn't that be great though? We keep talking about we got to write a letter. We really need to let iRacing know what's going on. Somebody tweet up Dale Jr. He'll get this figured out.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to just throw your qualifying tires on there or something, just throw those on there. You get a short stint, but maybe one day we'll see that. We're just now getting Gen 4 cars.
If you think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've turned a single lap, even on a road course, but aren't there options for you to run the tires that you qualified on, or is it just a matter of running the same compound that you qualified on? I know we're not talking about NASCAR stuff in this instance, but if they have the ability to make you run on your quality tire to start the race, effectively they have the ability to let you use scuffs.
Yeah, so there are, in some series, there's the ability to change compounds, but not necessarily like tire sets specifically.
With that said, if there's anybody out there in the chat that has no idea what we're talking about when we say scuffs, I know somebody had a question on that a week or so ago. Scuff tire is effectively a used tire. It's something that's got some laps on it, but still tread life left on it. Obviously, they're slick tires. There's no real tread to speak of, but not a worn-out tire that you're going to discard and have Goodyear recycle. Something that you can bolt back on. It's got a heat cycle on it maybe, but you can still use it later on. That's what we're talking about with scuffs. Josh Bittner in the pits. And his Ding Dongs 84.
It's actually a really good looking truck.
It is a good looking truck. I just like that it says Ding Dongs on the hood. Yes, I'm 5. Leave me alone. Might be a scheduled stop here. We're kind of in that window. We thought 35 to 38 laps. We had the caution, so it might be a little premature, but Bittner not the only one, as Adamson's going to come down and pit as well. And speaking of good-looking trucks, this is kind of a throwback here. It's got the Earnhardt Senior colors, but a little bit of matte black. I know Dale's paint schemes are always high gloss, but Phoenix Racing on board. It's got the color scheme right. Looks good. Jeremiah Burke, John McAdams going to pit. Chandler Paul comes down in his number 3 truck. Mike Adamson back in the hunt, back out front with a 1.1 second advantage. Dylan Bryant as he continues to build a gap back to Albert Anderson.
And don't be surprised when the pit cycle's done if you see Bittner take over the lead here with running a couple of laps, especially with Dylan staying out as long as he has now. They're over a second and a half slower than they were, at the beginning of the run. So that second half a lap, he'll make up some time, and then, Dylan will probably run him back down shortly thereafter. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the 84 take over the lead, at least lead some laps this way. It's a good way to get some laps led.
The benefits of those newer tires significant, as you said, about a second and a half as far as the fall off is concerned. But you look at Albert Anderson, he ran a 29.93 as his fastest lap of the race. His last lap prior to this one was like a 31.90, so that's almost 2 full seconds of fall off. And speaking of Albert, he's in the pits now. So that's 2 seconds of fall off. So when you bolt those freshies on, go back out there, well, now you're 2 seconds faster than the race leader. So as Chris was pointing out, it's a great way to pick up some positions without having to work your way and pass them on the racetrack. You do it with just fresher rubber for a little while. You're like Superman, but it goes away eventually. Looks like a 4-tire change for Albert Anderson as the race leader is in. Dylan Bryant slows to pit road speed. And this has drugged just about everybody down pit road because they know the same thing that we do that we just spoke about. If the leader is going to be fast and he's going to come down and get fresh tires, well, I think we better do it too because it's just not going to be good. He's going to increase that track position that he has on the rest of the field with newer tires, and they got to come down and kind of play monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, you don't want to get cut out there on old tires for a long period of time, trust me.
Dylan Bryant down and away, 14.62 the stop, very quick, but not as fast as John McAdam, a 14.40 on his pit stop. And now the new top two, Wittenberg and Player, have come down pit lane. Andrew Player still shown as the race leader with Team Tang. 4 tires in fuel for the F-150. Drops the jack, he'll head back out into action. So John McAdam, the race leader here, he made his pit stop at lap 37. And that kind of goes to what you were talking about, Chris, that undercut, those faster tires, because they're newer, he was able to pick up some track position and legitimate positions on the racetrack in doing so, pitting at lap 37 versus Dylan Bryant and Albert Anderson coming down at lap 41 and lap 40 respectively. Now, that's going to eventually swing back the other direction. Anderson and Dickerson will be faster at this point, so they'll eventually reel in McAdam, but if this run goes long, like the first one did, eventually those tires will kind of equalize to each other. Even though there's 5, 6, 7 laps between them, they'll just get to a point of diminishing returns for both, and they kind of get equal at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the longer you go, the heat does level off at some point, and that's kind of what you're working with, especially with these concrete tracks, how abrasive that they are. Once the heat kind of levels off, you tend to be able to kind of run the same laps, which we saw towards the end of that run with especially Dylan and Albert. Both are running the same lap times, but then I think even here in 15, 20 laps, you'll start seeing these guys that are running up front right now. Dylan will catch them, probably get by him, especially this early in the race. I doubt they'll fight him too much right now, but you'll see the time start to level off. So sometimes it can help with picking up that track position, like you said, with McAdam and even Mike Adamson there.
Interestingly enough, Adamson with 1 lap older tires than John McAdam. He's ran his last couple of laps about a 0.5 tenth quicker than the race leader. It's marginal, but it's there. Also want to point out track temperature has come up slightly, only 2 degrees. Again, as we spoke in the early stages of this event, that track temperature certainly not coming up due to the sunshine, but the exhaust temperatures, the friction from the tires alone with these 30 trucks out on the racing surface, it is enough to bring that track temp up, and that's what we're starting to see. Battle for the second spot, Dylan Bryant, again, new rubber underneath the 51, gets clear of Mike Adamson with ease, clear off of turn 2. He'll set his sights on a race lead, only 7.5 tenths up the racetrack. Adamson's got a rabbit to chase now in that third spot. But Bryant gets to the bottom of the racetrack, might have gone a little bit too low as that 51 washed up the racetrack in turn 4. Last lap on the racetrack for the race leader was a 30.65. Dylan Bryant just shy of a tenth quicker. Bryant making big gains here on the race leader. Just a few truck lengths now off the tailgate of the 47. Shrunk that deficit from 7 or 8 tenths down to less than 4 tenths. Approaching less than 3. He's there, 2 truck lengths. Never mind the numbers. You can see it there on the screen. He's not far away. Another lap or so, he'll have that race lead. Bryant to the bottom of the racetrack in the middle of 1 and 2. He may have it here on the exit. McAdam battles back, again using that top lane for momentum. But it's all she wrote. Bryant back to the race lead here, lap 53. Chris, who's running in third? It's the 69 of Larry Dickerson.
Yeah, he definitely got the speed here for sure, and he's been patient, working his way through some of the traffic there. So he's put himself in a good position especially for later on in the race with the speed that he does have.
Dickerson on the same tire strategy as race leader Dylan Bryant. Both drivers making their tire change at lap 41. By comparison, the lap times very similar. In fact, Bryant this last time a 30.96 to Dickerson's 30.70. The previous lap, Dickerson only 1/100th quicker, but certainly picking up the pace. He's a 10th.5 quicker the last time by, and he's still in traffic. On board with Larry Dickerson. This from the driver's eye camera, a camera that's mounted into the helmet of the driver. If all you had was his right eye, this is about what you'd see. Dickerson taking that second spot from John McAdam now sets his sights on the race lead. Still running faster laps than Bryant. .2 seconds from Dickerson to Bryant. Dickerson still lapping just a tick faster than the race leader, at least for now. It's getting closer and closer. And there it is. This time Bryant just a hair faster than Dickerson. Deficit has gone larger, 1.3 and a half. Meanwhile, Albert Anderson picking up another spot as McAdam continues to fall backwards. And McAdam, as far as top 5 drivers are concerned, top 4 drivers are concerned, he has the oldest tires. Mike Adamson behind him, only 1 lap older. But remember, those two started on the front row after, well, not the front row, they were 1 and 2 after the first round of green flag stops. And look who has cracked the top 10. Alan Vaught and Timothy Pope running 8th and 9th here. Just shy of halfway. This race far from over. We're going to have some contenders joining the fray here before this one's out. Kelly Cool in that mix as well. Unfortunately, it looks like Kelly Cool in 26, but not on the lead lap. Cool is down 1 lap to the leader for now. Has a couple of trucks to pass to get into that lucky dog position. Chandler Paul and Kevin Hunt. Chris, I know Kelly Cool's a lap down here, but he's really running in the tire tracks of Vaught and Pope. He's just trying to run their line and see if he can gain time.
It's possible. He's just, not wanting to be too overly aggressive. The last thing you want to do, especially running a lap down, is get anywhere close to taking out a lead lap car. So if knowing those 2 guys in front of him, Alan and Tim, they're definitely fast. So if he can just maintain with them, he knows he's going to pick up some track position anyway. And maybe pick off some of the guys that are ahead of him one lap down. I think he's the second one lap down right now. So if he can run down that 434 and get back in a lucky dog spot, then caution comes out. He's right back in it.
Oh, Dustin Eaton gets the wall in front of Alan Vaught. Alan does a good job to avoid, but it's going to break his momentum. May open the door here for Tim Pope. Pope doesn't get too aggressive with it. I think he's content to just ride on the tailgate of the 33 until it gets down to crunch time. You've seen that quite a bit out of Pope. Not overly aggressive, willing to just ride it out until it's time to go. He's found success in doing that over the years. Just past halfway here at Nashville Super Speedway, Dylan Bryant still leads as we approach our second round of green flag pit stops. And we got Shane Haas in the chat. What's up, fellas? What's up, Shane? Bryant still out in front. Not as great of an advantage as he once had, but still 9/10 back to Larry Dickerson. You see what 9/10 looks like. It's about 10 trucks. Or 3 buses. Anthony Williams leaving pit lane. Jonathan Osborne in the 81 also headed out of the pits. So let's take a look at this here. Dylan Bryant, Larry Dickerson, 1 and 2. They made their pit stop at lap 41. We did get a caution on the initial start, so we really didn't go green flag racing until I think it was lap 5. So doing the math off of that, say 36 laps they still went. Probably could have gone a little bit longer as Bittner and Adamson comes down to pit. What do you think, Chris? Think we'll see Bryant and Dickerson here in the next 5 laps? Maybe less?
Yeah, I think you'll see him here probably about lap 75 or so. That'll leave less than 60 laps to go, and they can split up that last stage or have that late race caution. They'll still have a set of tires there. I mean, everybody will have a set, but theirs will be able to maintain the speed. And looking at the lap times, you're talking about the time fall off and how it'll even out. That last lap for Dylan, he ran a 31.76, and then you look at McAdam, who pitted about 5-6 laps earlier.
1 lap earlier. Oh wait, McAdam. I thought you were looking at
McAdam.
Yeah, you're right.
And so he ran a 31.67. So the lap times are kind of getting back even with these older tires. So. Like you said, but with such a short pit window, you don't really get to take advantage of that savings, from a pit undercut early standpoint. So by the time they even out, you are pitting.
And really that just translates to how much fuel they have to work with to start this. Again, a 65% load gives them about 35 to 38 laps on a tank. So as far as that goes, they're probably going to change tires every time they pit.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe, and depending on when they pit, I wouldn't be surprised because these left side tires don't wear out too much here. It's mostly the rights with the heat and the scrubbing them. So I wouldn't be surprised if you maybe see somebody gamble for 2 tires there towards the end just to try and get through.
Yeah, green flag stop. I could definitely see someone taking rights only. Under the yellow, though, it's only, an extra second and a half, 2 seconds to bolt up the left sides if you're taking a full load of fuel. That final stop, though, that could be a different story.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the final stop is the one that you'd see somebody gamble for sure.
John McAdam having some connection issues as he comes back out on the racetrack. We're at lap 76, and Bryant still out of the racetrack and stays out yet again. Dickerson as well. Same with Anderson, Alan Vaught, Tim Pope, who Vaught and Pope now in the top 5 after this cycle of pit stops has begun. So in this case, Chris, what's really the advantage for Dylan Bryant to continue to run laps out there? He's trying to run the tank dry, but what's the benefit?
Well, the benefit is he can, if he chooses to, split that last run and run a shorter stint for both runs, so you maintain more speed throughout those runs, so you don't have as much fall off. Also, you know, the longer you go, you can trap some cars a lap down. So, there's only 9 cars on the lead lap right now. So caution comes out. Yeah, you get some guys that take waiver rounds, but you're still with fresher tires starting in front of those guys. So on older tire, and then on the flip side, he runs the next stint all the way out. Then leaves a shorter stint there at the end with fresher tires. The only catch is to that, which we saw a couple weeks ago with him, is you got to give him enough. He's got to have enough time to get back up and catch back up through the field.
All right, well, as we talk about that, Tim Pope and Alan Vaught both hit pit lane right now. Do you think this is going to drag Dylan down? Nope. Next lap, maybe?
I think lap 80 is probably his goal, would be my guess. I'm an even number, round number kind of guy, so if I can make it to 80, 85, 90, something like that. I mean, obviously he's not going to make 90 because that would put him outside the fuel window, but I think you'll probably see him here along with Dickerson. They'll probably pit the same lap.
Alan Vaught having a small problem on pit lane, a long stop, 15:58 for the 33. Maybe a little hiccup getting into the pit box, and that's going to give Tim Pope the advantage. His pit stop is almost a half second plus faster than Alan Vaught as the race leaders come down. Dylan Bryant and Larry Dickerson both, as you predicted, Chris, going to hit pit lane.
Really see on pit exit there the benefit of having that first pit stall. I've noticed it big time last night, especially here, because you can basically put your foot down and go without hitting pit road speed, and you just keep that momentum all the way through. So you see how much time that he gained on Dickerson coming out there.
I don't know. I think John Force would get a ticket.
Well, maybe.
So Ricky Wittenberg took over the race lead, but he's going to come down and hit pit lane here for his scheduled service. And he had almost a whole lap on the field there as Bittner is in second, 22 seconds back. This really could work out decent for the 55, at least as far as track position is concerned, getting back out there with fresh rubber.
No, he was out there doing the caution dance for that one lap that he was out there, just trying to keep everybody pinned down.
Can't say I blame him.
No, Ricky does. I think he does a lot of his own paints and things like that. But his car there reminds me. I don't know if you remember, I'm dating myself now here too, but the old Spree car that used to run. So that's what that reminded me of right there.
Oh, we got trouble. Looks like the 48 maybe. No caution yet. Hunt was involved. There it is. Caution is on the Speedway. Right after this, Bittner was in the race lead. He made his pit stop about 13 laps ago, so we had just completed the pit cycle. I think it was Jason Gaines and Kevin Hunt, if my eyes do not deceive me. Let's take a look. And it is the 83 also of Gaines. Let's back things up, see if we can get a better picture of this. We kind of saw it shaping up. So the 434 of Hunt to the outside, Jason Gaines in the 83 to the inside. Gaines just comes up and makes some contact. I don't know if he's looking down at his gauges, but they come together, and this is prior to turn in. A little bit of air getting underneath the 434.
And I saw a red and blue truck kind of getting the wall, avoiding the 434. I couldn't tell if that was Dylan or... No, it looks like it was Ricky.
Robertson went up the track, but yeah, Ricky definitely pancaked the wall trying to avoid contact with Kevin Hunt. Can't say blame him. I think that's the lesser of two evils there.
Yeah, for sure.
So everybody's going to pit here under this green, even though we just went through our green flag cycle, with the exception of new race leader Alan Vaught. Started 26th, now in charge of this race. But he's going to have the rest of the field behind him on new tires.
I like the school of thought, obviously, from, the way I do it, or the way I did it last night, I should say. We'll see how it pans out. I don't think he doesn't have a ton of time on these tires, but even 5 laps will be a big difference with these. But if it does, get cautions late, you will have that extra set over the field. So
now, with that said, Chris, I mean, he's got some heat in these tires already. But what did he say if he takes this restart and just immediately goes into take care of the tires mode? Does he eventually equalize, and because he took care of them on the restart, does he have enough to kind of start running these guys back down? We know Allen's fast. Does he have enough to really do that, or does it really make a difference, seeing as how we have another pit stop to worry about anyway?
Yeah, I think with that other pit stop, that's going to be a bit the kind of the great equalizer, right? So I mean, he's got I can't tell how many laps, 5 or 6 laps that he pitted, maybe.
Pit stop was lap 78. We're on 87 now, but again, with the caution, I think he's probably only got 4 or 5 green flag laps on him.
Yeah, and that's So with these getting cooled back down, I mean, you'll see a little bit of a difference. I think Allen is fast enough to be able to hold a lot of these guys off. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be a benefit for him. If it had gone any more than about 4 or 5 laps, I would say maybe he may be making a mistake based on my experience last night. But I think you'll see Allen be okay.
So, ready for the restart. Lights on the pace truck have gone off. We'll get the green flag here, lap 88. We'll take you a lap or so under green, and then we'll take our side-by-side. Don't worry, we stuck it out a little bit longer than halfway because we wanted to stay here during the green flag pit stop cycle. Do need to get a break in at some point, though. Pace truck is in. Barney with the green in hand.
Green.
And there it goes. Vaught with a huge jump, gets way out in front as the battle behind them between Bittner and Albert Anderson. Then it's Dylan Bryant and Mike Adamson. That's your top 5. Vaught maintains the race lead. Bittner second. Anderson, Adamson, Bryant, the top 5. Anderson alongside Mike Adamson for position. This would be for P3 if he can pick it up. Larry Dickerson jumping on a line in P6. He looks hot to trot, wants to make his way back towards the front as we got 44 laps to go. And what an opportune time. We'll step aside here, get a track limit side-by-side break out of the way. We'll be back after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Nashville Super Speedway, business, I could say, is about to pick up, but it already has. You saw it there in the side-by-side. Bittner took the race lead for maybe a quarter of a lap. The crossover move from Alan Vaught took it away. Little bit of contact between the 84 and the 33, but Bittner back on the charge here, closing the gap considerably here down into turn one. Goes to the bottom of the racetrack, tries to stuff it in, gets into the 33. Allen saves it. Wow. Brazen move. I still think it's too early for that. We got 35 laps to go still. And that hurt Bittner, I think, more than anybody.
What a save by both of those guys, though, for sure.
Incredible job by Vaught and Bittner to hang out of those trucks for certain. Vaught now slides back to P5, again on a little bit older tire, so he's going to have to take care of them to the next pit stop, that final stop of the race. And Chris, you talked about it early on, how a left side tire change for that final stop might be a good idea. Think Alan Vaught might be a candidate?
Probably not. I think he's 4 tires all the way. Now, with the last set that he's got, it is possible you come down and snag 2 and try to see if you can work your way up through the field as long as you don't have too much time to make up.
Alan Vaught really struggling here in lap traffic, and it appears we had one driver lose connection and disappear, and I don't think he ever came back. I don't know even who it was at this point, but Alan Vaught now in P6. Dylan Bryant has retaken the top spot here, coming to 33 laps to go. So this is where we watch Dylan Bryant. When does he make that final pit stop? As the top 5 drivers all seem to be on that same strategy right now. 85 laps. Pit lap 85 was their last pit stop.
Yeah, if I'm guessing based on what what them and the crew chiefs are talking about here, I'm probably thinking somewhere around 20 to go for that last set for him. You're not gonna have to wait on full fuel, but you are going to take those 4 tires. So I'm thinking probably somewhere around lap 110, 113, somewhere around there would be my guess.
Dylan Bryant's got to possibly think about an alternate strategy here from Tim Pope, though. Pope running consistent laps, just a tick faster than Dylan Bryant. Lap after lap, they're on the same set of tires as far as their age is concerned. Pope's going to be a factor here before this one is out.
Now, one thing, if I'm, with seeing Allen's dropping back down to ninth, if I'm him, once I get it opening, I'm probably pitting as early as possible right here, because you can make it to the end. If it does go green, it is what it is. But if you do get that late caution, you still have that extra set. I would just take it now, come in and pit now, and then you'll gain that track position throughout the cycle, and then maybe a caution comes out while you're in the lead and stuff like that, and you still have that extra set. So I don't know, if I'm Allen, I'm pitting as early as possible right here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's almost like splitting the stage if you think about it. We've got 30 laps to go as it stands right now. You come down now, and maybe the caution comes out in 10, 15 laps. Then you pit again, take that last set. You're in pretty good shape. Of course, you got to rely on that last caution to come out. But either way, you're right. He can make it to the finish if he comes down.
Yeah, and I think you're actually going to see him.
Here he comes, but Osborne gets into him, and again, another save out of Alan Vaught.
Will he get it slowed down in time? Looks like he does.
It's almost like he was listening. And again, he had the same idea, I think.
Yeah, he's sitting in his truck going, "What did I do to deserve getting beat around like this?"
I know, right? It's the thanks you get for being fast.
Exactly.
So 4 tires and fuel for Alan Vaught. Final pit stop for the 33. Maybe an audible being called here as far as when to come down based on that contact with Bittner and then ultimately Osborne. And Osborne's going to pit this time by. So Bryant still leads, but now Tim Pope into the second spot. Last lap for Pope again, a 10th plus, faster than the race leader. 10 more laps, he'll be there. Albert Anderson on the pit lane.
Steve, seeing all these guys come in and pit, this is actually beneficial for Allen, because when he was on older tires before, but now that he's been out there 2 laps now, but they'll be about on the same tire strategy, so it's not even, he won't even have to deal with the deficit of the fall off afterwards. I mean, you still got Dylan and Tim and and Larry that are still out there. But this is going to be a benefit for Allen with those guys that were kind of running in that latter part of the top 5 and back half of the top 10 there. So this could work out in his favor as well.
Yeah, Allen's pace alone versus a little bit older tire, I think, kind of puts him on equal footing with just about anybody else, and grab that extra gear and go after it here in the final 24. We'll see how this shakes out. The odds are still kind of long here for the 33, but he's certainly not out of it. .24 to go. Tim Pope in the second spot, still closing the gap on Dylan Bryant. They work on a turn 4. And yet again, Pope still faster. Each and every lap, Pope just gains more and more ground. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. He keeps chipping away at it, but with 22 to go and certainly one more pit stop to go, anything can happen. That's key, too, here with Dylan Bryant needing one more stop. Tim Pope, certainly the same situation. Pretty much everybody all the way back down to this 15th position, and those are 2 lap-down trucks. So for the most part, everybody's going to need to make one more stop here. Don't beat yourself in this instance. Don't get caught for speeding on entry. Don't get in trouble for a blend line violation. Whatever it is, if you're in contention for this thing, it's almost better to have a subpar pit stop than to get popped for a penalty. And Pope off the racetrack. So what do you think that was, Chris? Just hammer down, turn qualifying laps, last handful there until it was time to pit?
Yep, that's just giving her all she's got until you hit your window where you were wanting to pit. So 20 to go, he's hitting it, and so now he can go full bore from now to the end of the race. Just use these tires up.
So Bryant stays out. If he's doing what he did last time, give it a couple of laps at least before we see him come back down. He's going to put Pope a lap down here, I believe.
Yeah, I think he may be hoping for that caution too, but I don't think you can stay out too much longer if you're Dylan, because then you put yourself in the position of not having enough time to catch back up and run everybody back down.
And the other part of it too is if he can get lucky enough to trap these guys, he knows that Pope is going to be a factor. He's going to be a problem for him.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, if you can catch a lucky caution right here and trap the majority of the field a lap down to where they have to take a wave around when you pit, then I think you're in a decent spot because you come out with fresher tires. But on the flip side, like we ran into last night with me, if you don't get that caution and you're setting yourself up to not have enough time to run everybody back down, because they're still about 2 seconds a lap faster.
$17 laps to go here from Nashville Super Speedway. Dylan Bryant, Russ Kilgore, Josh Bittner, Austin Paul, Ricky Wittenberg. That's your top 5. That's your lead lap trucks. Update on Andrew Player. He was in contention earlier on in this race. Unfortunately, he had a power failure. Then the power came back and still no internet. So tough break to the 13. Out of this one, looks like he'll finish 28th. Bryant really stretching this to the last drop. Now 4 trucks on the lead lap. And here he comes. Coming to 14 to go, Dylan Bryant on the pit lane. Bittner will take over the top spot. What do you think, Chris? Is this too late?
In my opinion, yes. He may prove us all wrong. When he entered the pits, he wasn't in the pit very long before those guys were unlapping themselves and passing him on the track. So we'll see how much time it takes for it to get around. But I think it may be a little too late, but we shall see. That late caution will help him.
Looking at benchmarks here, Tim Pope, who pit a few laps prior, he's already surpassed him. Bryant coming out 14th, Pope up to 8th. So Bryant now the first truck 1 lap down on top of it all. He's going to need some help. Granted, the top 3 still need to pit, so that's going to change things up as well. Bryant losing connection there for a brief moment. He's getting ready to unlap himself the hard way. And with newer tires, it's not so difficult. So 11 laps to go. Josh Bittner, Austin Paul, Ricky Wittenberg, the top 3. They have not seen pit lane since lap 85. $14 trucks still on the lead lap. Dylan Bryant, the last truck on the lead lap. Now it's the 75 of Benfield as he takes it away. I got to think here, Chris, that Josh, Austin, and Ricky are going to run this until it's on vapor.
Yeah, I think Ricky just came in this last lap, but I think you're going to see these guys pit here very soon. Wouldn't surprise me if you see somebody snag us 2 tires and just see what happens for track.
Well, hell, especially this late in the race, give it a shot. You're only going to have 5 green laps or so, and here comes Bittner. So Austin Paul stays out, it looks, though, as he will do that. No, he's coming down now, too. So Dustin Eaton's going to inherit the top spot. And he made his pit stop at 107. So Eaton in a position to stay out of the racetrack. If we go green to the end, Eaton's got a couple of seconds, it looks like, on Dickerson. Josh Bittner, 2 tires going on. Sunoco race fuel going on, enough to get to the end here. And 2 tire change for Josh Bittner. He's going to chance it.
It's worth a shot with this late in the race. Watch for that thing to be really wicked loose those first couple laps, so be careful, Jeff.
So 8 laps to go. Battle for second. Dickerson and Pope side by side while Dustin Eaton continues to lead. Again, Eaton with older tires, so this really effectively is going to turn into the battle for the race lead and maybe even the win. Pope working around the outside of Larry Dickerson. Oh, man, what a disappointment it would be for the 69 to finish second 2 nights in a row. Pope's got the spot, sets his sights on Eaton. Eaton just going to be fish in a barrel here with Pope looking to the inside. Fresher tires by comparison. He'll get to the inside here, heads down into turn 1, 6 laps to go.
Surprised you didn't see Eaton fighting that a little bit more. I know he's got 6 laps older tires, but there's only 6 to go. I mean, throw your truck in front of him there for a minute. Just, slow him down for just a second.
Pope was 3/4 of a second faster that lap, so I don't think Dustin could have done much. Coming to 5 to go. Dickerson's going to take the second spot. John McAdam now 4th, Anderson 5th, and Dylan Bryant has worked himself back up into P6. Not that I wish a caution on anybody, but it would certainly make it fun to watch.
It'd definitely get interesting real quick.
Four to go. Pope out in front of Dickerson. Bryant takes over the 5th spot as he continues to march forward, but I think he's out of time. Without a caution, I don't think Dylan's got this. I think he just waited that much too long. Pope was out there on newer tires, ate up all that track position.
I think you'll see him get by for 4th and possibly McAdam, depending on how much they race each other. But said, I think as far as the lead goes, I think.
All right, now Bryant running 4/10 a lap quicker than the leader. There's just not enough time left. Bryant picks up the 4th spot. Bryant's there. He's got a lap and a half to go here if he wants to jump on that top 3. Pope back to the stripe, white flag in the air. Final lap here from Nashville Super Speedway. Just a clean lap will be enough for the 7 of Pope to take the checkered flag. Larry Dickerson still in that 2nd spot, and Dylan Bryant is taking 3rd from McAdam. Consolation prize for the 51, unfortunately for him. He wanted this win bad, and he probably would have deserved it if he got there, but McAdam's going to battle back at the bottom. Oh, and some lap traffic in the mix. Bryant's going to go up the gut. Meanwhile, Tim Pope out of 4. He'll take the checkered flag. And Bryant ends up, I think, P2. He does. What a drive for the 51. Comes up 1 short. Wow.
That was an exciting, their last set of corners.
Organized chaos. Pope sits parked here at start finish. I don't know if he's going to light him up or not. There he goes. Once again, a nice subtle victory lap. Throwback to Alan Kowicki. Of course, he does run to 7. And you see the shadow number 28 there in the bottom of the number. Well, a nice, subtle Ryan Blaney-esque Polish victory lap tribute to Alan Kwiecki. We'll step aside here, get our break out of the way. We'll have our top 3 finishers in the booth after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Nashville Super Speedway, Tim Pope with some strategy and a little bit of raw pace picks up the race win here tonight in the playoffs. May even take over the points lead rolling into Michigan Speedway next week. But let's talk to the race winner here, driver of the number 7 Texaco Haviland Chevrolet. It's Tim Pope. Tim, it's Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Tim, congratulations, man. Not a stellar qualifying effort. I don't know if he even took a lap, but 25th place to the race win here tonight through some strategy here late, just some clever pit work. You drive this thing here to the front of the field on that final stop and drive it all the way to victory lane. Walk us through the game plan you had coming into tonight to take the victory here at Nashville.
Yeah, I had an EOL penalty, so I couldn't qualify. So strategy was just pretty much take it easy and work my way up there. And luckily I got a caution to bring us all back together so I could have a shot at it.
So worst to first after that penalty, you still managed to overcome all of that. Your last pit stop coming about lap 13, 6 laps sooner than Dylan Bryant, the pole sitter here tonight and a dominant driver certainly this evening. But those 6 laps with you out there on fresh tires seemed to make the difference. You were able to really make up that gap, take that position from Dylan, and then drive it home to the win.
Yeah, I was expecting him to pit one lap after I did, but he didn't. He stayed out a little too long, so he wasn't able to run us back down.
Well, with that said, congrats on the win here tonight. We look forward now Michigan Speedway, bigger racetrack, higher speeds, higher banking. Is the preparation all that different from here to Michigan?
Nah, not really. Michigan's just about wide open, I guess. Hold it fast as you can go and turn left.
Sounds like a plan to me, Tim. Congrats again. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Everybody on this team, shout out to Ricky. Glad he can make it this week. Dedicate this win to him. You guys for the great broadcasting, and Jess and Lori for putting on this great league.
All right, Tim. Thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck next week.
Bye.
Tim Pope, your race winner here at Nashville. Next, we're going to talk to the bridesmaid, unfortunately, Dylan Bryant, second place finish here at Nashville. Put the car, or truck that is, on pole position here tonight. Dominated the race. Late pit stop, maybe a little too late, unfortunately. He'll finish second. But Dylan Bryant, it's Steve and Chris with Track Limits Network. You got us?
Oh, yeah, Chris and Steve.
Dylan, congratulations, man. I know this one's got to sting a bit. You certainly had the truck, you had the pace, you had the pole. You just looked good all around out there, but walk us through the decision-making process on that final pit stop. We all, including Tim, expected you really to hit pit lane right after he came down. What was the thought process in staying out there for 5-6 more laps?
Oh, well, when Pope pitted, I knew that he was going to leapfrog me, so if I pitted the next lap, it's extremely hard here to pass. You get tight, and then you heat up your tires and stuff, and I was like, well, I'm just going to stay out, like 5 laps more. And I didn't have any more tires left too. So I'm like, if a caution comes out, it helps me. If not, it's going to be a dog race to the end. And, I was wanting it bad. And the second don't sting as much as Charlotte did because I got taken out, which in return, it placed me outside the playoffs for the first time here. And yeah, so I was trying to win it to make me feel a little bit better, but then again, going up against Pope and Larry and stuff is a tough battle.
With all that said, you were running 4th, I think, with about 2 laps to go. We thought, all right, it looks like he's going to get John McAdam here about on this last lap. You got clear of him pretty quickly, but he battled back, got to the inside, and then all of a sudden there was some lap traffic, and then Larry Dickerson as well. Walk us through that final lap and thread the needle going up the gut there on the last couple of corners to pick up that second spot.
Well, I was already back into throttle when I think it was the fire truck. I think he kind of drove in a little bit and he washed up the track some, and I think he doored Larry a little bit. And if I would have hit the brakes there, I would have fell back to at least 4th. And at the end of the day, I feel like I deserve a podium. But I won't try to put a playoff guy in that spot on the last lap, but it was enough room and stuff. And I knew that the truck would stick and stuff because I think I have like 8 more lap on tires than him. So, but yeah, I won't try to stick him in a bad spot, but I was already in the gas. If I would have lifted, John was on the inside of me too. So I was just trying to at least make a podium tonight.
Well, you got it done. Larry actually had fresher tires. Actually, no, you're right. You did have newer tires. Larry's pit stop looks like it shows that was post-race, so I'm going to ignore that completely as far as I'm concerned with that end of things, but you made it look good there in the final lap, Dylan. Just too bad you came up 1 short. We look forward now to Michigan Speedway. If I remember correctly, you run pretty well up there in the Irish Hills. How do you get ready for that 2-mile oval out in Michigan next week?
I will jump into the practice on, I can't race on Monday nights, but I do run on Tuesday nights, so that's kind of like a mock race for me, and it's just stay clean, and it's a momentum track, so I prefer these lifting tracks and braking tracks more than I do just a straight gas, or at least burping the gas. And I'm going to try my best to win it. I got to also keep in mind of the playoff guys too. I ain't trying to crash a playoff guy, but I'm going to definitely try to win it.
All right, Dylan. Well, again, job well done here tonight. Again, 1 short, still a very respectable second place finish. Who do you have to shout out to before we let you go?
First and foremost, Lori. She's outstanding. Jess. Just everybody that's in the league and stuff is great, and I wish the playoff guys the best, and also a shout out to Outcast Racing. We got 2nd, 3rd, and 4th tonight, and I wish Derek was here, but he's off, and Chris Klein and stuff too. So a shout out to those guys, and Steve, you and Chris does an outstanding job on Wednesday nights, and I definitely look forward to going back and watching the broadcast.
All right, Dylan. Well, congrats again. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great night.
You too. Dylan Bryant, your second place finisher here at Nashville Super Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to the driver of the number 69, Larry Dickerson, 2nd last night, 3rd here tonight. Most people would think that's great. That's awesome. He's going to be excited, but I don't know. We're going to find out, but we'll see. Larry Dickerson at Steve and Chris with Track Limits. You got a copy?
Got you loud and clear.
Larry, congratulations, man. I know we talked last night. Second place was the verdict at the end of the evening there. Third here tonight. My gut feeling is you're still kind of gutted on this. You had pace. This is a track that kind of suits you. What was the difference maker here tonight? Obviously, things got a little carried away there in that last lap.
Yeah, I'm trying to use my words wisely right now. It was just a pit strategy. I figured maybe if I short pit them and they stay out long enough, I can get enough gap to hold them off long enough on a short run. But that what really messed me up was that one little dust up with Allen and them, because I had Tim behind me, and when he leaped on a frog in front of me, I kind of knew I was in trouble because we was even on pace just like me and Dylan, and I just played a strategy. I mean, I had to do something, because if you just copy what they do, you're just gonna keep running where you are, and it didn't work out for me.
Follow the leader, you're going to follow the leader, as Larry Mack would say. But A for effort, certainly. You got to try something different sometimes. That last lap, certainly Dylan was able to get that second position from you, but still a solid day. Again, I know you're probably not the most thrilled with it. We really thought you had a chance at this one here tonight, just as we thought last night. But there's another opportunity next week. Michigan Speedway. I know we talked to you about it last night in the Num Thumbs Racing League as far as your approach and how you get ready for Michigan. But how do you get ready for Michigan Speedway for those that did not tune in last night?
It really comes down to being able to qualify really good. And because if you qualify bad, you're going to be back there in the middle of the hornet's nest where it's 4 and 5 wide sometimes, and all it takes is one person to slip up and your day's over. And if you can get some clean air and stay out in front, it comes down to managing your tires. I look really forward to Michigan. It's one of my favorite tracks. Again, mile and a half suits my style. Just got to try to qualify good, because I'm not a good qualifier. I struggle at it, and tonight I was actually able to get a decent qualifying effort, even though I still screwed it up. So just track position, managing your tires, and just be patient and making the right moves when you need to.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, Larry. Congratulations yet again. Third place finish here at Nashville Super Speedway. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
First off, I want to thank Alan and Lori for everything they do for this league. The sponsors, they take time out of their day, Lori and Jess, to give us the opportunity to showcase what we can do. And I know, just like everybody else, I greatly appreciate it. I have fun. Shout out to my teammates. 3 of the top 4 was outcasts. Last night was 3 out of the top 5. Tonight's 3 out of the top 4. So congrats to Dylan getting second. John getting 4th. And hopefully next week when Derek comes back, he can give a strong run, and maybe hopefully Outcast get a all top 4 finishing positions. Shout out to my sponsor, Angelman Syndrome Foundation. Anybody go donate to any forms of autism, you'll be doing that cause them people an awesome job. And I know I said her name once, but Lori, thank you for all your support and everything you do, having my back. And the last one, Ted, tomorrow at work, I know last night I said we got second. We gave him hell again tonight. We got another podium. It's not a win. So 2 nights of interviews, and also the best broadcaster in the business, you, Steve. Thank you for putting these races on for us.
All right, Larry. Well, thanks for the kind words, man. Congrats again. Good luck next week at Michigan, man. Thanks for talking to us.
Appreciate it, brother. And the milk dud is out.
Larry Dickerson certainly in a better mood tonight than he was yesterday. I think he felt like he got the finishing position that he earned, Chris. Either way, I know that win's coming soon. We talked about it last night, how you keep putting yourself in position for a win. The wins will come, and he's certainly been doing a good job at that. Top 2 in it, top 3 in it to death here as of late. So keep an eye on that 69 machine to park it in victory lane before this season's out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got the speed. Just needs a little luck.
Oh, we lost Chris there for a second. You're back, Chris?
Yeah, sorry, I saw it cut out. But yeah, he's got the speed, just needs a little bit of luck to go his way, and I think you'll see Larry on that top step.
With that said, let's take a look here at our race results after we've talked to Tim Pope, Dylan Bryant, Larry Dickerson. Those are your top 3 finishers. John McAdam went from finishing 3rd to 4th on that final lap. Dustin Eaton was 5th. Albert Anderson was 6th. Kyle Vaught finished 7th. Mike Adamson 8th. 9th went to Stoney Benfield. You know, Stoney's been finishing here up in the top third of the races quite a bit as of late, and he's been doing it awful quietly. Keep an eye on that 75 as the season progresses here. He just keeps getting better and better. John Osborne was 10th. Russ Kilgore 11th. Kelly Cool finished in the 12th spot. John Gallagher was 13th. Scott Roney 14th. Josh Bittner was 15th. Greg Dobson 16th. Alan Vaught, tough night for the 33, was near the back of the field, was leading for a little while, but through pit strategy and such, not in a great position as this one came down to its end. 17th place finish, may have given up the points lead going into Michigan next week. Austin Paul was 18th. Anthony Williams 19th. 20th went to Ricky Wittenberg. 21st was Trevor Robertson after a great save on lap 1. Jason Gaines was 22nd. Jeremiah Burke 23rd. Andrew Coffin 24th. Kevin Hunt was 25th. Chandler Paul 26th. Dave Mayberry 27th. 28th went to Andrew Player after a power failure and then an internet issue. Dustin Wade was 29th. And last but not least, out on the very first lap, the 48 All-Star Racing entry of Jack Dixon finishes 30th. 2 weeks in a row for Dixon. Tough break. Hopefully luck turns around for him next week at Michigan. With all that said, congratulations again to Tim Pope, going from worst to first here tonight at Nashville Super Speedway. We'll see what happens next week out at Michigan. Congratulations to all involved, certainly our top 3. And again, thank you as always, you guys in the stream chat, keeping it busy for us. We certainly appreciate that. And Chris Goins, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being up here in the broadcast booth each and every week. I do appreciate it.
Hey, I'd have it no other way, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity here.
That's going to do it for us here at Track Limits Network. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you at the next one. Have a good night.
See ya.